Hey guys, Saucy Search here. Today we're diving into Arc Raiders, and in this video I'm breaking down a full list of advanced tips and tricks that every player should be using. We're covering everything from smart crosshair settings to hidden movement tech, advanced mantling, and parkour options the game doesn't explain. So without wasting any time, let's jump straight into it. So first things first, let's talk about a few advanced settings that I see a lot of players completely overlooking. These are small tweaks, but they make a massive impact on your consistency in both PvE and PvP. If you head into your settings, go to accessibility and scroll down to the crosshair override, make sure you customize your crosshair. For the crosshair shape, I personally prefer the circle, and for the color, set it to the brightest green available. There's a reason almost every high level player and guide recommends this. Bright green stands out against all backgrounds, biomes, and especially through the explosions or heavy visual clutter. It is the most visible and most reliable color you can use to track your point of aim 100% of the time. While you're still in the settings, I also recommend adjusting a few keybinds. Things like unarmed weapon swapping or shoulder swapping are extremely important in high intensity fights. Personally, I bind my shoulder swap to a side mouse button, and if your mouse has extra buttons, I highly recommend doing the same. It frees up your left hand, keeps your movement cleaner, and lets you react faster during those chaotic PvP engagements. I know these settings might not sound like a big deal at first, but trust me, they can completely change the way you play. A lot of people skip the settings menu and jump straight into the game, and I get it. But the reality is that these small adjustments can make or break your overall experience. They give you more control, more awareness, and ultimately make you a much more consistent player. Taking a few minutes to dial these are absolutely worth it. The next thing I see a lot of players struggle with, especially newer PvP players or more casual raiders, is the complete lack of cover and concealment. I know it sounds basic and repetitive, but coming from someone who served in the military, that is one of the first things that is drilled into your head. Always use cover and concealment. And honestly, the same rules apply perfectly in Arc Raiders. Whether you're fighting Arc units or other raiders, you should never be standing out in the open. Use bushes, tree lines, rock formations, brick walls, rooftops, or even some creepy little corner like a cracked out goblin if you have to. Anything that breaks the line of sight, honestly, guys. You'd be surprised how many players sprint straight through the open like everyone's going to be friendly. I hate to break it to you, but they won't be. You need to be ready the second your shield cracks, or you're going to either take that fight or you got to break the line of sight immediately. This all ties into something I consider essential called situational awareness. Plan your routes. If you need to take an extra 100-meter detour to stay safe, do it. I'm not going to say the outskirts of the map are completely safe, but they're usually a lot safer than running down through the middle of the map like a lost puppy. Now we're getting into what I personally consider one of the most important mechanics in all of Arc Raiders, and that's parkour, or simply put, movement. Movement is your best friend in this game. Whether you're crossing the map, weaving through buildings, escaping raiders, or trying to survive a deadly arc chasing you down like those stupid shredders on Stellamontis, mastering parkour will save your life more than any weapon ever will. There are countless little tricks, tech, and cheeky movement ideas I could cover. But let's start with one of the most basic things I constantly see players messing up, zip lines. I see players hit a zip line and immediately go flying in the wrong direction, and it's simply because they aren't paying attention. Your movement direction on a zipline is based entirely on where your camera is facing. If you look up, you'll launch upward. And if you look down, you'll drop down that line. That's a huge for repositioning, escaping, or meeting teammates during intense PvP fights. And of course, everyone knows zip lines are loud as hell. If you want to reduce that sound and avoid giving away your position, don't grab the zip line right away. Jump towards it, fall about 70% of it, then grab on at the last second. Doing this cuts the noise drastically. Enemy raiders will barely hear it, and you'll be down at the bottom with your weapon ready instead of announcing your arrival and being loud as hell. Now let's move on deeper into the parkour sides of things, and I want to use a real example, one of the most popular locations in the game, Dam Battlegrounds, at the Control Tower. The loot is pretty good, but getting inside when a team is holding the breach door can be an absolute nightmare. Here's a trick most players don't know. If you rotate towards the dam side, where you can lower the metal drawbridges, there's a generator you can jump onto. From there, you can climb onto the metal platform hanging outside of a window. This gives you a clean flank angle on anyone holding the interior. It's a perfect example of how using the environment intelligently can completely flip a fight into your favor. And speaking of environment, I constantly see players yeeting themselves off cliffs and taking massive fall damage for absolutely no reason. I understand it's fun, but come on guys. Here's a movement tech every player should be using. If there's anything beneath you, a ledge, railing, box, pipe, anything, you can mitigate fall damage by holding your mantle button as you drop. Your character will grab the object and cancel that fall. This single mechanic is game changing. Not only it's crucial for parkour, but it's massive in PvP and PvE.
I will remember you, bro. I'm gonna fuck you up. Fuck you, bro. Fuck you, bro. Hey. Fuck these guys up, man. Fuck you,
And
bro.
learning them separates average players from top tier raiders.
Fuck you.
Next, we're going to be talking about one of the most overlooked parts of Arc Raiders, using your gadgets properly. I know it sounds simple, but I constantly see players just shooting blindlessly at enemies with no real plan. Before I even get into this, check the link in the description. I have a full guide breakdown on how to defeat every single Arc enemy efficiently in Arc Raiders. Every solo player should know how to handle these enemies, especially if you're grinding trials or going for achievements. Now, when it comes to fighting the big boys, bombardiers, bastions, or leapers, hitting weak points is only half the story. In my enemy guide, I talk about the blaze grenades for a good reason. Blaze grenades, hands down, are one of the strongest options for dealing damage to these behemoths. A well-placed blaze grenade can literally melt a leaper, bastion, or bombardier in just a few hits. But blaze isn't the only option. Trigger mines, wolfpack rounds, showstoppers are all fantastic alternatives depending on your playstyle. These gadgets open up the fight, give you control, and let your team delete enemies much faster. And this goes for PvP too. With the recent update, gadgets like the Jolt Mine and the new Pulse Mine are insanely strong against enemy raiders. They stun your opponent and lock them in an animation for about 3 to 4 seconds, which is more than enough time to push down there and secure the kill before they can even react. So the message here is simple. Use your gadgets, they're in the game for a reason. Spend your money, prep wisely, and set the trap. It will win you more fights than raw aim alone ever will. The next advanced tip we need to talk about, surprisingly few players take advantage of, the snap hook and zipline gadget. These tools are insanely useful in Arc Raiders, whether you're trying to reach high ground, reposition silently, or just navigate the map more efficiently. Let's start with the snap hook. It's extremely versatile. You can latch onto higher ledges, scale buildings silently, escape enemy raiders, and even pull down wasps with a clean, safe shot without making a sound. The only drawback is the internal cooldown. So once you use it, make sure to put it in your safe pocket immediately. The last thing you want is an enemy raider sniping you and grabbing one of the best mobility tools in the entire game. Now, if you're not lucky enough to have the snap hook blueprint yet, don't worry. The zipline is the next best option, and honestly, it's criminally underrated. Most players treat it like it's trash, but with smart placement, it becomes one of the strongest flanking tools in Arc Raiders. I'm going to give you guys a perfect example. On Dam Battlegrounds, there's a zipline location that shoots you straight onto the first floor of the control tower. But if you take it a step further and place your own zipline on the signs above this area, you can actually climb all the way to the very top of control tower. Almost nobody checks this angle because 99% of players enter through the elevator ziplines, which makes this rooftop flank honestly unbelievably strong. I've used it many times to counter here, and I highly recommend it. The lesson here, use verticality. Use height to your advantage, use the snap hook and ziplines to create unexpected routes and angles. These tools aren't just convenient, they're game-changing when used correctly. Now let's move on to grenades, because if you're not using grenades in Arc Raiders, you're genuinely putting yourself at a disadvantage. These things are mandatory in high-level play. They're cheap, they're efficient, and they completely change the outcome of both PvE and PvP fights. Blaze grenades and heavy fuse grenades should be in your inventory at all times. Heavy fuse grenades are perfect for breaking enemy raiders' shields, dealing burst damage, forcing enemies out of their position, and creating space so you can push or reposition. You can use grenades offensively to crack shields and initiate a push, or defensively to buy cover, retreat, or secure a revive on a downed teammate. They're some of the most versatile tools in the entire game. We all know blaze grenades absolutely shred arc units like Reapers, Bastions, and Bombardiers, but they're also incredibly useful in PvP. A well-timed blaze grenade will force enemies out of cover, flush them from choke points, and make them completely reposition. It's one of the strongest zoning tools you have in Arc Raiders. And speaking of utility, smoke grenades are massively underrated. If you're extracting and the loud beeping ends, the elevator opens, and you're spamming the terminal to return to Speranza, a couple of well-placed smokes can literally save your life. They block sightlines, let you reposition, and stop raiders from hitting you in the back during their most vulnerable moment of the match. Smoke also de-aggroes arc enemies. If a Wasp, Hornet, or Rocketeer has locked onto you, throw a smoke, dodge for their first few attacks, break line of sight, and they will typically disengage. It's a lifesaver when you're low on resources or dealing with multiple threats. Long story short, always run grenades. Use them smartly, they win fights, save lives, and open up engagements that raw gunplay just simply can't. Alright, now let's talk about a tip I think is important, but not necessarily mandatory, and that's choosing the right cosmetic. I know, cosmetics and microtransactions are something we all roll our eyes at, but let's be real, it feels good looking drippy. I love it too, but there's this thing, your outfit does matter depending on how you play. If you're not a PvP demon rushing into buildings, dropping bodies, and chasing high kill counts, and instead you're kind of a solo player, more casual player, moving silently around the map trying to stay hidden, your cosmetic you pick can actually hurt you, or help you. Avoid things like the bright glowing backpacks with the LEDs like this on screen with the neon trim, high visibility color schemes like this bright orange in a green biome for example. These stick out like sore thumbs in shadows and can expose you instantly. On the other hand, there are a ton of skins in the game with neutral greens, browns, grays, and muted colors that blend into the environment extremely well. I personally picked up a neutral tone outfit because it matches the terrain and keeps me concealed during rotations. So here's the takeaway. If you're trying to farm resources, avoid fights, and completely run safe, your outfit becomes part of your cover and concealment. It sounds silly, but it genuinely matters. Look good, sure, but blend in when you need to because your survival depends on it. The next tip we're going to be talking about is the adrenaline shot, and this little tool is absolutely phenomenal, especially for solo players who want smooth, fast, efficient loot runs. Whether you're sprinting across the map, trying to beat other raiders to high value PvP zones, or rotating quickly between objectives, the adrenaline shot is your best friend. Once injected, you get a few seconds of unlimited stamina, and only after that does your stamina begin to drain. Here's the real trick. Even if your stamina fully drains, you pop another adrenaline shot immediately. You can chain them back to back as long as you have them, which is huge for racing enemy teams to contested loot zones, flanking faster and repositioning mid-fight, outrunning arc enemies or raiders chasing you, rotating across the open terrain safely, beating the collapse timer if your extraction is too far. And that last one is important. If you're playing at the end of the round and the timer is about to expire, an adrenaline shot can literally be the difference between making it to extraction or dying to the nuclear fallout. The best part, adrenaline shots are actually extremely easy to craft. They only require plastic and chemicals, which are literally everywhere topside. There's no excuse not to carry several at a time. Use them often, stack them all up, and just sprint your little heart out. Another tip we're going to be talking about for solo players is simply but absolutely crucial: don't rush. Take your time, move slow, move smart, and play methodically. I see a lot of solo players sprinting around the map like everybody is friendly and nobody is going to shoot them. Running wide open through fields or pushing into buildings without checking your surroundings is the fastest way to die. When I play solo, I treat the game like a story driven survival experience. I move carefully, I loot deliberately, and I never blindly just rush into anything. And remember, this is a third person game. Use the third person to your advantage. Shoulder peek doorways, scan around corners, check angles before crossing the street or entire rooms. A single raider sitting in a dark corner can literally just end your run instantly. Environmental clues are huge too. If you see a dead arc robot lying around or recently looted containers, that's obviously a big red flag. It means someone's been in the area maybe a minute or 2 minutes ago. But either way, you need to slow down and play cautiously. The reality is simple. Not everyone is friendly, and assuming they are will get you killed. Take your time, use your camera smartly, and move with attention. It makes all the difference when you're on your own. The next thing we need to talk about is noise. Audio in Arc Raiders is both phenomenal and absolutely devastating depending on how you handle it. Whether you're shooting at enemy players, engaging Arc units, or setting off environmental alarms, people will know exactly where you are. The game does a fantastic job isolating sound by area, so when you're solo and rotating around the map, noise can either save your life or it can completely betray you. First rule, avoid unnecessary sound triggers. Things like pigeons, car alarms, cameras, metal detectors, things like that. All these make loud, distinct noises that can reveal your position instantly. If you have a suppressed weapon, use it. If not, take out your pickaxe and destroy the object quietly. It still makes noise, but it's far quieter than letting that device beep, chirp, or scream across the valley. Second rule, don't loot after a fight, and don't take fights you can't finish within seconds. As a solo player, you need to assume someone is always watching you because most of the time someone is. If you instantly kill a raider or drop an arc, that sound travels. If you immediately crouch over the loot and start digging around with your hands deep in their pockets, that's how you get shot in the back. To be honest, when I'm playing solo, I treat arcs like hazards to avoid them rather than to shoot them. I move through the shadows, avoid drawing attention, and I only engage on an arc enemy if I'm forced to. And if I do get spotted, I use the bushes, trees, terrain to break line of sight and force them to de-aggro instead of trying to fight the arc. This is important. Don't assume clearing arc means you're safe in the area. Don't assume winning fight means you can loot safely. Noise attracts players always. Move quietly, loot carefully, and above all, just be cautious, guys. It's a survival game. Survival in Arc Raiders isn't just about winning fights, it's about who gets caught in the first place. Another tip I highly recommend, one that a lot of players overlook, is simply using your microphone. I know it sounds annoying, and plenty of us just want to chill with the headset off and vibe. I get it. I do too. And yes, there are plenty of situations where I shoot first and ask questions later. But if you're trying to complete a quest, extract with materials, or avoid unnecessary fights, your microphone can simply diffuse a situation. A simple don't shoot or friendly just passing through goes a long way. Most of the time in solo queue, people are surprisingly friendly, and when players hear you talking, they're far more likely to talk back instead of start blasting. That often leads to temporary alliances, shared loot runs, and simply a safe pass-through. And realistically, you're far less likely to die when you turn a stranger into a friendly raider. And of course, this isn't foolproof. Some players do shoot first no matter what. Some will bait you, some will backstab you. I come from Tarkov, I know exactly how it is. Not everybody is nice, and you should never expect them to be. The goal here is simple. Use your mic to de-escalate fights you can't win. Use it when you're outgunned, low on ammo, or you're trying to complete a mission peacefully. Most players will let you go, some won't, and when they don't, you need to be ready to defend yourself. So, talk when it benefits you, fight when you have to, and don't be afraid to make quick alliances when situations call for it. The last thing we're going to be covering in this video is the raid timer. Yes, it's simple, and it shows you how long the match has been going. A lot of players ignore it, but it can give you a massive advantage if you know how to use it. Even if you load into a fresh run, that means everything. Everything is unlooted, all raiders spawn at the designated starting points, you have an equal opportunity to grab high value loot. You can reach contested POIs before anyone else. Early PvP fights will predictable and evenly timed. A fresh timer basically means the playing field is level between all raiders on the map. But if you load into a raid that has missing time, that tells you a completely different story. Players have already rotated into POIs, loot has already been grabbed, fights have already broken out, and some teams may have already been set up waiting to ambush newer players. You might be walking directly into somebody's trap. Knowing this determines how you approach a match. If a lot of time is missing, you might play more cautiously, avoid hot routes, rotate less looted areas, or just extract immediately if you're not geared for late game PvP. The timer also helps you decide whether a match is worth playing out. A match you can win, or a match where the smartest move is just to head back to Speranza. Use the timer. It's one of the simple but most valuable pieces of information the game gives you. That's going to do it for the full advanced tips and tricks guide. Hopefully these strategies help you survive longer, win more fights, and play Arc Raiders like a true veteran. If you enjoyed the video or learned something new, hit that like button, subscribe, hit the post notification bell to always stay up to date, and let me know what you want covered next. Until next time, stay sharp out there, and as always, take care and God bless.